I was just going to backtrack slightly about this whole, if you did a genetic therapy trial, being excluded from, a double-digit number of years from all other genetic therapy trials, because I think that's just a totally new form of decision. We're all used to taking part in clinical trials that mean you can't do another one at the same time, but to be excluded from such critical research for that amount of time is a huge decision to try and put on an individual patient. I mean, if I was in that position, I would be asking a heck of a lot of questions, because we're not scientific experts. As much as we're probably better than the average human being, we are not clinical scientists. I would want to be really satisfied that if I were to take part in one of these trials, it's got a decent shot of getting through, and not just because you want to try and get on a successful trial, but what you've also said, if this is meant for the 10%, the more of these trials there are, if you're fracturing the small patient base you've got to begin with, there's only going to be so many of these trials that could ever run. If that's going to be a really, really difficult. And then I sort of got to thinking about more longer term things, and it just, if you've got that longer term monitoring, just the burden of taking part is a lot more. So the genetic trial that I took part in was a very intense period of visits and observations, and then I think follow up through to, I don't know, about 3 months afterwards, but I only had one dose. If that's a much longer period, you're actually committing to a lot of time, energy, effort, over such a long period. It's a bigger question of, can I commit to even doing this? And because it's not just going in, on whatever time you have to go into a clinic to be observed, but it's all the stuff in between. I mean, I had to keep a full-on diary of everything when I did this one. And, even if it's just, can you, here's a home spirometer, make sure you do that every week or whatever, it really wraps up. I think for me, it's much like any trial, thinking of taking part in is going to be what is actually the burden of doing the trial, and also how much observation or tests and things, and how invasive they are as well. If any of these trials are double blind as well, presumably, unless you are unblinded from that, you're potentially even going to sign up to a clinical genetic therapy trial, not even take it or have it, and then be barred from all others. For that's rolling, some pretty big dice.